true statement. We do this to show whether it's recorded or not. We just started recording. That's kind of how the whole thing started, because we'd have these conversations, whether recording or not, but we remembered to hit record. Welcome to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist. We've got the full crew, Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, and joining us with maybe a little bit of better Wi-Fi this time around. Previous guest, friend of the pod, Grant Douglas House. What's going on, Grant? How are you, man?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Stoked to get to talk to you. We're going to try something new to the loyal listeners of Social Kick, and apologies. Me and Luke are both without our crispy pod mics, while our guest brought his own pod mic. So who's showing who's more professional this time around?
Yeah, I'm no rookie. I'm no rookie. I got my own podcast out here. Come on. Big leagues.
Such is a great setup. I could not find it. I moved, and Luke is actually traveling now. Well, let's start with Luke. Luke, what do you got going on in life?
I'm in Palo Alto. Been here for a week, never a week or two. And training. I got to train with Brian a couple of times off the World Masters Championships, as you guys know. Swimming for the 50 free. And Grant, I'm swimming a 50 breaststroke. The last time I swam a 50 breaststroke, I was 12. So my stroke has not improved. It's still
well, no shit, it hasn't improved.
we need some best times in that then, Luke.
We'll get some best times, I promise.
Okay.
But yeah, it was good. I've been lifting and swimming speed, and I'm sore as anybody. So from lifting. So it's a nice
Wait, so you think you're faster than 12-year-old Luke right now?
In breaststroke?
Gotta be.
No, have to be. Yeah.
I don't know, Grant. I don't know. I don't know.
I spent to the Brian yesterday. I was all right.
I have faith.
Yeah.
He's doing all right. John, what you got going on?
Not much. Just putting in some good swims. I did a nice Cam McAvoy inspired destro set today. So I did, what I do, 12 and a halves total, 12 and a half off the block, no warm up, right into 12 and a halves with the destro, 200 pounds, 12 strokes. 3 rounds of that. Or 4 rounds of that? 4 rounds of that. So that's what I've been up to in the pool.
Dang. That's some good work right in there, John.
It's pretty
good. Took a whole 20 minutes maybe, and that was
Making
that.
Chuck proud. Got to get Chuck on the podcast next.
That's right.
There we go.
Chuck, thanks for the destro machine. That's where it's at.
Boom.
I wish all the
pools, early.
I wish all the pools that I went to had this kind of stuff. Luke and I were sprinting yesterday, and there was a swimmer in the pool next to us who had never seen a parachute before, and we were using socks as well. And they were like, "Hey, what is that? What are you guys doing?" And it's like, all of these tools would be so cool to have, at everybody's access. I feel like we should just do a mass replacement of every pool that's got kickboards and pool buoys. Take that thing out, get rid of them, and we're going to replace it with parachutes. And we're going to bring in destro machines and just hook them up with the sprint tools. So,
but no instructions on how to use them, and I want to see what they do with the socks. How they sew the socks.
I know. Yeah, seriously. Oh, the classic.
We're going to be stuffing them in their swimsuits, all types of craziness. With
I can't imagine putting a bucket in front of them would be any better. Like, hey, figure this one out.
People are going to be drinking out of the destro bucket.
Putting a small child on there, like
child
sitting in it. Yeah,
hey,
I was up
it
at
can be scary for kids.
I was in a facility in Colorado, and they had those. And I walked in, and I was like, "Oh, Dave made this is premium." I don't know how Chuck got these in here, but that was exemplar from the club team.
Hell yeah! There you go. Yeah, needs to be more common. It'll get there as the sprinting takes over. We got it in the Olympics now. It's going to be the world's going to change, and I'm a fan of that. I had to share with you guys a story. I don't think I've told Luke and John this. I was out of town with the ladies' family this weekend for 4th of July. We went to Arrowhead Lake in SoCal. And we went out kayaking, and her family and friends are into kayaking, but it was super rough water that day. And we're like, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea, but white caps on the lake. And yet, we drove up there specifically so we go kayaking. So everybody's like, well, we got to go. We got to try it. So we get out there, and I didn't know what situation we're getting into. Me and her are in a shared tandem kayak, which, if you've ever tandem kayaked, trying to
Never
get the
goes well.
Of counting with you and your kayak partner is kind of annoying. And so we had a tandem kayak. Everybody else was in their own, but I sat up front because I knew that I was going to have more paddling power. And however, when I did that, like I weighted the front of the kayak a little bit more than, I would have sitting in the back. Anyway, Whitecaps, we're paddling along. Things are going okay, but we're getting a little water in. Next thing I know, just one big, like rogue swell comes by as the boats are passing us. Just so much water in the kayak, so much that she's panicking in the back going, hey, we gotta do something. And so I hop out of the kayak and I'm trying to help like get some water out. Fortunately, we're not too far from a dock. I push the kayak over to the dock right as the whole thing goes down, like totally underwater. It happened so fast, man. And so like we were by this family's dock. They come running down. Oh my God, you guys need help or whatever. And we're like, yeah, thank you so much. Like, can we use your dock? We're just trying to flip this thing, get it emptied out of water. And so we empty the thing out. We get on the beach right there, and she's able to, we swap roles. Somebody else paddles the kayak back. We get it back to shore. And I said, I'm swimming the thing. Like, forget kayaking. Let me get out. I'm waiting the kayak. I'll swim it. So anyway, I swim back around, probably making all these people, wonder who the hell's out there swimming the choppy lake. And but before I paddled away, it turns out that the dude's dock who we were at, he goes, hey man, like, can you tell me about those goggles? Like, what kind of goggles are those? And like, I usually wear these arena goggles that I busted.
Sweet.
They're like I forget what the name of it is, the X Vision or something. Anyway, the angled lens. And the guy asked me a question. I'm like, that's kind of a direct question and specific. Like most people wouldn't say like, what kind of goggles are those? What's your swimming background? He goes, oh, I swam at UW. Like, oh, no way. And so nice. We swapped swimming stories, said, hey man, thanks for the emergency support. And then I was out of there and swam away. But yeah, the swimming community, you never know where you're going to come across people. And it's kind of a cool experience. Maybe not going kayaking on a choppy lake again, but there we go.
Brian,
yeah, that escalated quickly.
I want to verify something with Grant's teammates. So tomorrow we were launching a show with Patrick Sammon, and we just talked about cam swimming, and we just did a reel of cam swimming at 25 meter free, and we asked what would be the world record in 25 free meters, short course meters. Cam at 936. We asked Patrick. I want to ask you, what do you think the world record would be in a 25-yard free? And ASU has the 25-meter world championships, right? So what do you think? And Patrick told us a time. I want to hear what you think the time would be if there was to be a world record.
To hand touch on a pad?
Hand touch on a pad, 9 and 25-yard free.
778.
He said that's. I think. What did he go? He said 7.6. Patrick said
7. I don't know if he said 7.9. He said
what he said.
Either way, 7. Something starts with a 7. Just sounds.
He said Ryan Held went 7.9.
I was gonna say, I was like, I've seen Ryan Howard go 7.9, so that's at least a little couple marks, but besides that,
okay, all right,
pure smoke.
I mean, we could maybe push
the quick ASU watch though.
What would you do, Grant?
Quick Herbie watch. What would I do? I think my best is 8.2. I think I'm still on the top ranking board of it for the World Championship. Although I got bounced early last time because I got the seat against Ryan Held, the world record holder. Like that's not a power scale. That was gypped. Herbie knew what he was doing the whole time, let's be honest. And but I don't know. I think if it was like actually something we all prepared for, I bet ASU could have probably 5 of us under 8 seconds, I would say. I think I could get under 8. I mean, if I'm already at 8.2, for sure. So I think if you made that an event, it would probably be like 7.3 now that I'm thinking about it, like world record. I bet.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Do you think it's going to start the underwater? What's the secret?
I definitely think it's force off the block into the water. I think I'm a big entry angle off the start guy. And then watching Ilya, I've just understood how powerful underwaters can be for a swimmer and just the amount of force and power he produces himself. I mean, it's just astronomical. So I think a lot of it's entry angle and then breakout angle in underwaters. I really don't think much after that would matter too much. I think you could be the worst freestyler and still go under 8.
Oh.
Honestly, like it's just, I mean, I've seen Elliot do I think the fastest I saw him do a 50 fly off the block short course was a 19.1. And I was like at the end of like 850s on 3 minutes or something like that to send. So it's just like, just disgusting just
He's an
disgusting
animal.
stuff. If he's doing that like at will, then like if we actually prepared and performed for these events,
Yeah.
I have confidence I'd be under 7 or under 8
Yes.
for sure.
For the Olympic 200 fly bronze medalist.
Casual.
Did you just say
light work for him.
he's a bad freestyler? Was that what
I didn't say.
heard
I
him
didn't
say there?
specifically say he was a bad freestyler. I said he has really good underwaters.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. I wasn't specifically ousting him.
I was going to ask the one that nobody would want to do, which is the dead start. What would the record be from a dead man's float for 15 meters? Because there's so many people that could generate a lot of speed. I remember back in the day watching Anthony Irvin do from a dead stop float, and that guy could generate so much speed from nothing. And I think you could see that in his results. But I don't know who today would be, the like world champion and from a dead stop.
I don't know I would love to put my money on him, but I would need to see other people what they do. But I would be hard pressed to believe there are 7 other people in the world faster than Patrick Sammon. Ironically, I think that's why that's like his superpower. Put him in a body of water, point A to B, no turns, no starts. He's got it. That kid's incredible at swimming. Literally just like swimming, raw swimming.
Well,
Bukov has got to be up there. He had such a poor start for so long, right? He was just running down people, kind of how Irvin would run down people in the 50 free. Or I bet you Cam is up there. I mean, but
Popov's got to be up there.
That'd be fun. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he wasn't flying off the block with his Luke 2-foot start. You gonna do that at Worlds, Luke? 2-foot start?
I mean, a guy who went 21.6 did it, so why not? No.
We'll see.
Power move.
Luke needs to find some blocks that have at least some like friction on them to be able to dive off. Yesterday, we're diving off slick surfaces, so let's at least start with some decent equipment, can we?
You couldn't move the wedges. Brian and I are trying to push the wedges back. We couldn't get it. It was stuck. It was slippery, and I still did 3 dives.
Nice.
Oh man, right. You forget when you leave the college environment.
Yes.
Like when you're in public facilities or whatever, like how nice it is to be using college facilities around like premium level coaching. That's good.
Yeah,
stuff.
you gotta put the towel over the block for the non-college facilities.
Oh, I know.
Get that extra traction.
Yeah, that's all you can do, right? Grant, we polled our audience, and we had to sift through all the noise to find the positive ones for questions for you.
Nice. Yeah, that's on pace. That sounds about right these days.
Yeah. First, we'll shout out Elijah Gitterson, Skylar Theory, and It's Just Lily YK. Everybody wants to know what's your favorite event, and let's go ahead and shout out the fact that you went a bunch of PBs at nationals recently, which is awesome. But you're a skilled man across many different events. Which one's your favorite?
I gotta go with, I'd say 200 IM, but I've been recently dabbling with the 50 meter fly. That one's just really, really fun. It's not as exhausting as I thought it was, but yeah, I love that one. That was fun.
That's my baby.
Yeah, but I think the 2 IM is definitely my bread and butter. I like that one a lot, way more than the 2 freestyle.
You'd be in 5th place. That's a pretty sweet swim, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
What about this? Idoso wanted to know what's your opinion on the fast watches at ASU. I think you guys are using the touchpad. So do we have fast watches?
I think some people get a little excited on the watches at ASU. We have an array. Of speed spectrums, we like to say. But yeah, we do put in touchpads quite often. So I mean, clock don't lie, ball don't lie. I don't know how else, unless we all want to pull a Cabbage and just complain about Omega pads. So I think that when the touchpads are in, we're all good. So I think, there is definitely a disparity in the watches at ASU. I will say that. I do have to say that. That's pretty clear.
Is that a Bob legacy, by the way? Because I remember hearing some stories from my era that Bob had a hot watch for Phelps, and it was like, because Michael couldn't get beat in practice. So like he had to make sure that even if Michael got beat on a rep, that Michael's split was going to be faster than whatever was next to him.
These are dangerous waters for me, Brian. I always felt like Bob's watch was honest for me. I don't know if it's a legacy for his watch exactly. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure he always wanted to have Michael push ahead. But I know between Dave, Herbie, Jack Little, and Derek, and Logan, he started out being called Slogan because his times were so slow on the watch. But he's righted the ship since then. I'll give him credit. I'll back him up on this. 8 years into it at ASU. And but yeah, I think there's a disparity of the current coaches at ASU. I mean, it's always a commentary on race day. I think if you polled every swimmer at ASU, I think we would all have to be honest on that one.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Hey, there's a time and a place for it. Sometimes that's what a swimmer needs to hear is a little faster time.
Yeah, if you hear a good time, sometimes you don't ask questions either. Sometimes you just got it that day.
Yeah. All right, we'll do this one. We had a couple of people ask about the 100 fly because you had a great result there with 52.4 PB. What's the best set to do for a 100 fly?
Best set to do. I'm a really big believer in broken 50-meter efforts. So dive and then push on kind of a shorter interval, but long in between. So anywhere from 2 to 3 times through that, but like a minute max in between. And then I'd say anywhere from like 5 to 10 minutes in between the broken 100. So dive 50, minute or less rest, and then push the 50. And then you take 5 to 10 minutes rest for that. One that Herbie really likes is 4 50s on 4 minutes. I really feel like that's a pretty accurate indicator too. And then one that I really like, especially short course, is 25s, stroke count, kick count on a short rest interval. So I'm talking like 25 seconds, 30 seconds. I think Herbie's had us do it on 20 before. I've done that IM. I really like that IM. It's really challenging because you're able to get at such a high output, but such little rest. So I like those 3 a lot, I'd say, for 100 fly especially.
Yeah, the first one, the 25 front end and then the 50 back end is a staple long time. We used to do that back in the sprint days in Auburn. What about the USRPT sounding set? Does Michael Andrew slay at those?
Wow, great use of slay. Way to really put that in there. I would say we don't do too many of those, honestly. Like we do, Herbie's big on high output, low reps. So, I mean, I would probably say Ilya and I are the only ones, maybe Patty sometimes, the Slam and Salmon, Patty Salmon. But I would say like we're typically only doing like 825s on 30 and then like kind of a flush out swim and then 8 more. But we're rarely doing like 30 50s like Michael said he always did. So I don't know. He's more of a 250 on the day kind of guy now. So
wow,
that's but he's doing it well. He's doing it well, I guess.
Yeah.
Like on Wednesday, he's been having a really cool Wednesday morning lately. I've really liked where Herbie's creativity has gone. But he basically does an overspeed suited swim, so 50 fly. And then we have this, like, I don't know what device it is. I haven't used it yet. But it's like some like GX something 100, but it basically measures your underwater amplitude and speed. And it tracks every 10th of a second, every amplitude of your kick. So that's been really good. He'll do like 4 efforts on that. And then he does like 8 rack pulls with a suit on, a power rack. And then he'll come at night and then he'll just do meet warm up and like a suited effort to try to simulate prelims finals, especially for that high output of the 50s for Worlds. But I really like that. And MA seems to be responding super, super well to that in practices based on his times, at least.
Mm-hmm. Man, God, this gets me fired up. Just like detailed talk. I want to get back into detailed training. I know Luke's feeling that way because he's getting ready. Dude, well, I got to say, like, most of the rest of our audience questions want to know why you ruined everything for everybody. So,
yeah, well, we'll start. It's not my fault. So you can blame your athletic director for that one. But
no.
I'm glad everyone decided not to read past the headline or the picture and didn't read any parts of the article. But yeah, it's something I've worked through. It's something that, frankly, I kind of realized. I was journaling last week and I realized why it took me so long to like kind of get comfortable with it. I was raised in such a good community and such a prosperous, like supportive and optimistic and just uplifting positivity from my family, friends, the communities, the club teams that I was with, that I never really experienced negativity before. And obviously like Banter and Badger, older brother, older figures on the team, but never anyone like constantly suppressing me. So it was something I definitely had to work through for the last couple months and years too, but it's something I'm a lot more comfortable with now. And so it's just, I don't want to say comical, that seems insensitive, but everyone deals with it a different way, but just comical at how undereducated everyone is. And I think that's just the saddest thing about all of it is like, just read a little bit more past the headline.
Yeah.
So I'm amazed at how many people like some people don't even know that House is a person. They just think it's the House of Representatives. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
That's probably good for you.
It helps me in some instances. I will say that.
If someone wanted to read more and was listening to this, well, where would you point them to? I just read a good article by David in Swimming World, which I thought was a good article. Back in May,
Good.
Is there a good summary article of like your intentions and where it panned out and stuff? Where would you point them to learn more that you think is a good source that's unbiased?
Yeah, I think I've had a couple good interviews lately. One with David at Swimming World. I think those a couple different parts of that series are good to look at. And then I had a really, really phenomenal interview with Seth Davis at CBS Sports that really took a lot of time to understand my involvement in it and my path and my story. And I think that provided a better lens to it as well. And then I just did another podcast with Gabe Feldman. He's a professor at the Tulane Sports Law School, and he has his own podcast called the Sportswise Podcast. And I've learned a lot from it. I followed it a lot to educate myself on it. But we had a really good discussion on that. Some terminology, some legality, but mainly just like the experience, anecdotal aspects of going through it. I'd say the capital T truth is what I like to put it as, and his whole podcast, I'd say from episode 50 to 90, I probably should have collected royalties for how many times that I gave him a episode topic. But I mean, it provides such good education. But I'd say those three: the CBS Sports article, Swimming World article with David, and then the Sportswide podcast, episode 89 to be exact. And I think you'll learn a lot from there. Great question though, Luke. Thank you.
Welcome.
Well, time for not a good question from me, because I'm with you
Nice.
though, where it's comical to listen to these comments coming in. I'm laughing at half of them just because they're, I don't know, so absurd or so random and all that. So are there certain ones that still make you laugh, or anything that still stands out that you can, like you said, just get a chuckle about it and a smile?
Yeah, I mean, even like I don't know if I have it up. I don't know if I can get it up from this morning, but I was like finishing practice, and then a message came in at like 10:02 a.m. and I just looked at it. I was like, just another angry parent at 10:02, morning message to Grant. And it was just like, I think the message was from them, and they're like, you're responsible for crushing my son's dreams and 30 other people and I like read the message. I was like, this doesn't even look like a swimmer. Like, and then it was like at Clemson track, and I was like, whoa. Clemson cut the track and field team 4 years ago on their own accord. And then because of a Title IX suit, they brought it back. So not even close to my doing. And and then two, it's just like understanding those a little bit better. Like, I didn't ask for roster cuts. I didn't want anyone's dreams to be crushed. I wasn't involved in the negotiations. I found out when all these talks were happening just when everyone else was. And so I don't think I've gotten the best at responding to any of these yet. Because I don't want to come across as an a-hole, but I want to be like trying to help. But I think anything I say to these people that message me are going to be like, oh, you're the worst. But I don't know. I think there's a positive spin to all of it too, in some regards. I think many regards, but for others, probably it's just some. 9.8 or 9.9 to 30 scholarships. I think that's awesome. If you're removed from that roster, then ideally, if you have another opportunity to go to another school, if you were cut from that team, the coach probably wasn't putting a lot of time into your caring about your improvement. So maybe going to another school where you're in the top 10, you're getting more attention, you're getting more focus, you're getting more intention and effort from the coach. Maybe you have a better experience. Maybe you get even faster. I think I would want that. I mean, that was a big reason why I went to Arizona State, because I wanted to create something instead of just being another piece to the puzzle, which is great in its own right to some people, but I just wanted to do something bigger and have more intentional focus with the coaches there. So I think that's something that for whatever reason, no one's like talking about, which I think is a great thing. Like you're going to go to another school, get a scholarship, get your tuition covered. Most likely if you want to keep swimming. And if you're done, then you just didn't want to put in the effort to talk to coaches. Sorry. Not sorry, actually.
Sure. Grant, I want to ask you then. Okay, I want to take us back to the beginning. But before I do that, I met you on this podcast, a couple years ago. A guy who loves swimming, who breathes swimming as a child growing up in Ohio. Apparently, Ohio has some good swimmers, apparently. But like swimming was all he cared about and all he loved and supported. Went to a program that was down and thrived in building the swim team. Then became a long tenured swimmer. I'm calling it a tenured swimmer. I don't know why. But you kept being a captain and a leader to the world's best swimmers, under the world's best coaches. And you were a known leader that brought up the swimming community at ASU from nothing to freaking national championship. Like that's my impression of you. And then when I met you with Leon, you were so supportive of him and your other teammates and so like caring for others. You hardly talked about yourself on our podcast. So that's the Grant House I've never met in person, but I know of, I think of. Where did this whole thing start for you in years ago? And why did you do this? What happened? Just take us in a nutshell in 1 minute, because I know it's a long story probably.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Luke, for the high praise there. I need to have you as my hired hype man, following me around, telling everyone this. Send an audio message to every message I get. But like you said, when I came to ASU, I saw a leadership opportunity with the team. And then shortly after that, thanks to an individual, Mason Ford, he was a track athlete. He brought me into this realm of helping the entire school for athletes at Student Athlete Advisory Committee. And then I was like, okay, well, now I can help beyond the team. I can help ASU. And then I got into that. I became the president of it. And then they had an opportunity to meet with the Pac-12 commissioner and at the headquarters. And I said, okay, now I can help even more people with that. Yes, I'd love to do that. And then when I got there, I actually saw some of the things that weren't going well, weren't going right. And that I was in the room with other leaders that said they wanted to do the same thing as me. But when it came time to talk about the problems, everyone was just quiet. And I remember calling Larry Scott out on viewing the Pac-12 conference championships for swimming. And I was like, you're showing two sessions. That's not okay. And it was just crickets. Like, and everyone came out of the meeting like, dang, I can't believe you said that. It's like, what else is going to do if something's not said? So having those moments of leadership changing into advocacy, into helping more individuals, it just kept getting to new realms where, can I help more? Can I help more? Can I help more? And can I have a bigger impact? It just made sense time and time again to me.
Absolutely.
How'd you get pulled into the lawsuit?
Yeah, that's another great question too. Very simple one, but like people don't ask that. We were on offsite at El Dorado Aquatic and Fitness Club, and off Scottsdale Road. And I was finished to practice. I was staying there in my brief. And then all of a sudden I hear, Mom, I think I have the perfect person for this. I'm still standing forward. And then I get a hand on my shoulder and a phone in my face. And it's one of my former teammates. She gave me the phone and she's like, here, talk to my mom. So I talked to her mom and we had like 10 minutes and I was like, can I talk to you when I'm not just standing in my brief? Like at like another time where it's COVID. So we got plenty of time.
We're in your business suit.
Yeah. I didn't have my tie on at the time. So I had to put that on. I had to go to the car real quick. But we had a couple more discussions and she's like, would you be willing to be a representative, talk with this other person? And at that point, I just thought it was like interviews, like you succeeded in the NCAA. This was 2020 at the point. And then I've represented Team USA about 5 or 4 times at that point. And I just thought it was like, oh, like this informal interview, like getting an experience of both things for an Olympic sport athlete. And then as we had more conversations, it turned into, would you be able to speak on behalf of Olympic sport athletes? Because you check off all these boxes we're looking for and we've heard everything that's great. And I said, sure. Yeah, I'd love to. Like I'd love to help more athletes put in a positive light, especially Olympic sport athletes. And then from there, kind of slowly morphed subtly into this like lead plaintiff. And I just kept being told, you're going to be a lead advocate for athletes on this. Do you think they should get these rights, opportunities these aspects of autonomy. And I was like, of course, why should they not? I've seen hundreds and dozens of swimmers put 20 hours of work in just in the water and then in the weight room, and then the intangibles outside of that, the recovery, the travel, all in the management of school too. Absolutely, they should be getting some benefits out of that too, rather than just doing it to do it. Like I always see a phrase, well, this is bad for swimming because it's not about the money. Well, no sport is about the money if we're being existential. It's about playing the game to play the game. It's a game. But if you can, why not? Like, why not get benefits to help the rest of your career or the rest of your life or your family? So, yeah, another great question. So it's super simple, but people just don't ask those. I didn't. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so, I mean, there's a couple of lawsuits at swimmers. There was a Shields Andrew Housu lawsuit against World Aquatics a few years ago. And Tom's name got to be the lead name. It was Shields against World Aquatics. You said you got asked to be the lead plaintiff. Are there other swimmers involved in the lawsuit? And why do you think they chose you to be the lead name?
Yeah, there were no other swimmers on the plaintiff selected. Okay. There was myself. Then there was a female basketball player who I met. I've had calls and texts with and FaceTimes and met in person too at the final hearing. And then there was a football player, Tamir Oliver. Never saw him, never called him, I asked for contact info several times. The lawyers couldn't even get me his phone number, which was odd. And then when the lawsuit merged with a couple other ones, Nia Harrison, she joined. And then I know I'm missing two, but I haven't had any other interactions besides Nia and Sedona. And from what I understand is I checked off the boxes for what they apparently were looking for. And I think it's just a testament to, fortunately, a lot of things that Luke's perception picked up from what he interacted with me. I went honors college, 4.0, went to a Jesuit Catholic private school, had a very uplifting environment and community. I was an advocate at ASU, president of SAC for 2 years, at the Pac-12 level too, team captain, representing Team USA, and at the NCAA Academic All-American. And I think it was just the character that I'd hoped to build up to that point that I think they were like, well, this guy hasn't done anything wrong. And they were right. So I think it's just academics, athletics, character, integrity, all the things I'd hoped to build, I think were very, very appealing to them.
But you were on Social Kick. They didn't hold that against you?
They actually said that was one of the leading causes of like why they wanted to. They said you were so well spoken on Social Kick, and it got so much engagement. Bengals
jersey looks so good on Social Kick. We need the guy.
Yeah, so they said that was the number one, and then they had to go through this checklist afterwards.
It happens. Okay. Yes.
I appreciate you guys. The thing that you're not mentioning is the Caped Crusader. You know, this alter ego of the powerhouse that you've built up, and so everybody knew this guy's got to be a force to be reckoned with, Mr.
Mitochondria.
Yeah, the mitochondria. Everyone's favorite 6th grade biology lesson coming back to life. So, yeah, you got to share some flair. You got to have some jerseys out there. Maybe I do need to get a cape. That'd be pretty sick.
I think you should. I've heard from people that are like involved in law firms that there's an intense negotiation around the order of the names in law firms. Cause it's always like Skadden, Arps, White, and Johnson. And then everybody always abbreviates it by the first two. And then here you've got like all these other plaintiffs that are named in it. And it just ends up being the house one. And you're like the total alpha to all these other athletes, man.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't know it would come down as this just barrage of negativity. So I hope the other plaintiffs got let off the hook on that regard. But yeah, there was no consulting with us. It was like, would you mind being a plaintiff? I was like, sure. You guys have done pretty minimal job of telling me what that entails. But I was also 21 at the time, so I didn't really know what to ask. And I was like, yeah, let's help some athletes. But yeah, good point. I from what I've gathered now that I've gone through my sports law and business program too, when we're going over like the lawsuits and the cases in sports, apparently it's a pretty hot commodity to go through those. Same with academic research journals though too.
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you checked off everything. Most importantly, being in our show and being from Ohio. But you were just given a phone on deck. You were, like you said, you fit all the boxes. When I hear this, I almost feel like, I don't know, you were kind of cherry picked or, chosen and then being used along this path for being the lead name on the plaintiff and everything. Do you feel like, I don't know, you were used, or like they picked you specifically to kind of push this all forward?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think, there's definitely times where it feels like being more used than not, I would say. But I know also at any point I could have stepped away from this spot and I could have withdrawn my name. I could have objected to any of this too. And I think that just would have not been a great light or sense of like source of courage or optimism for the sake of what I was trying to do, whether it was me falling on the sword or not. I do think I was chosen for this for whatever reason. I do think, like even swimming specifically taught resilience and grit and perseverance to get through something like this that I didn't know it was going to be 5 years, but have the resilience to go through something like this too. And I think it's easy to kind of play the victim sometimes, but understanding I did choose to do this. No one made me, and I could have chosen to come out at any point. I just felt like that wasn't advocating for bravery or courage for athletes and a better future that I perceived as coming when, not a matter of if. It wasn't 2020, it was going to be 2022 or 2024 or 2030, whatever it was going to be. This was going to happen and someone was going to do it. And
definitely.
So that's kind of where I felt with my perspective over the years. It wasn't always like that. I think the first couple of years was just shock and awe and damage control.
Sure.
I got a comment and then a question. When we get a bad comment on one of our reels or something here, it affects me. I take it almost personally, and it's hard. It takes me a while to get out of it. It's stupid. I do. You had all this crap drop and did a bunch of PBs of world trials, dude. So congrats on that. I mean, maybe you put your energy, maybe that's therapeutic, but you're able to still do your profession well, the best, and go through this. So this is a note for those who are listening. But in the aftermath of it dropping, your character, from what I read, has continued to show. Like you don't agree with the roster cuts. You agree with Judge Wilkins' sort of like phased approach to it and not just have it this dropouts. You met with the Cal Poly team because you sympathized and you didn't want that. You don't want this stuff to happen. And you try to be a leader. You want to talk more about how you, I don't know, reparate. You're sympathizing and you didn't realize what's going to happen and you're doing your best now. How have you acted since some of the things you haven't agreed of have rolled out? What have you done that we don't know about?
Yeah, I think for me, it's getting on a lot of podcasts like this or having a lot of interviews with just like explaining the path that unfolded, not just like the terminology or what people see in the headlines, but understanding like all of this was done behind closed doors without athletes. And that's a problem, I think. Even at the professional level, they involve athletes, but just kind of showing like I said, the capital T truth, shining a light on what this path actually was and my involvement. And I am a believer in like the truest actions and the truest intents will shine brightest eventually. And I think that's why I'm glad to hear my character has continued to have that constant velocity with it. And I think that's a testament to it. And I think, with the Cal Poly, that was something I was extremely uncomfortable with it at first. Cause I was like, I already got my intentions got mismatched already. Yeah. How are they going to be assumed or perceived this time? And I was like, no, this is what I believe in. This is what I want to do. I have friends on Cal Poly, or I have friends that know about Cal Poly, and they approached me with it. And I was like, this is what I believe in. And they asked me like, here, we have a script. And I was like, no, like, just give me the general idea of what you once said. And I got this, like, this is what I know what to do. And so I think just different instances like that have been unfolding, and I'm trying to lean in more to this realm of advocating on social media a little bit more. You said you mentioned I still did really well at nationals. I appreciate that. Amongst all this, one of the biggest things I did was at the Westmont Pro Series when Cal, I think it was March 11th. So maybe 4 months to the date tomorrow, if I remember it correctly. But Cal Poly got cut, and I just got within 10 minutes. I was making a post when it got when it got put up when they got cut, the news went loud, and I had like over 100 messages within 10 minutes. And I was just like, I posted it and I saw it. My brother sent me the article. I got sent the article by like 10 people. And I was like, that noise, that's too loud. So I just dropped all social media. I have like a countdown clock on my phone still. It's been 4 months since being back on Instagram, but I think that's a big testament is like I said, I've just been dealing with so much negativity. I went and found mental performance coaches, sports psychologists that I'd kind of doubled down on. And I was already seeing them, but I started seeing more, started journaling more, and just removing myself from it. Because I realized, I mean, other than John, I don't think I've met any of you, Brian or Luke, in person. Right. John's been able to witness Pac-12s at its peak, RIP. But
Pac-12s,
you know, I realized no one at arm's length is giving me any negativity. Everyone around me knows my character, my integrity, my goals, my vision, and what I hope for this is just positive changing and evolution. And it was everyone that was coming from a keyboard or their phone or across the world or across the country that was doing this, that didn't take even 30 seconds to say, like, figure out who Grant House was and is. And so, I mean, besides the Social Kick podcast, you guys have been there by my side through and through. So
day one
out of 10, day one. And so I think when I realized that, I was like, all right, everything I'm trying to get across is doing that. It's just going to take a lot longer than I thought. And the true message and image will shine through. And then always people are just going to agree or disagree with every topic. So I could break a world record tomorrow and there'd be someone in, I was just about to say West Germany, but probably someone in Russia that'd be like, he's doping. Or like South Africa, like, he's doping. Yeah. It's like, okay, like there's probably someone in America that'd be like, like he cheated. It's like, okay, why can't we just be happy like someone did something really, really cool?
Right. Do you think it's the hardest thing you've ever done?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah, for sure. Especially because I think I'm still 27 years young, but like my 21 years of age, youth and ignorance really helped me understand it, because I didn't understand the magnitude until years later. I mean, every year I got a little bit better of an inkling, but yeah, without a doubt, this has been the hardest thing. That's a really, really good question. That's a really, really introspective question.
I mean, you've done a lot of hard things. You've done a lot of hard sets and been coached by a lot of hard people. So, I mean, when you zoom out at the end of the day, I mean, it makes sense that you would answer it that way. But yeah, I'm curious what you think about the people. It seems to me from the outside looking in, like I was a college swimmer and I didn't live through this era. But if I was a college swimmer that lived through this era, or a college athlete, or any sport that's being impacted, you can empathize with the people whose lives are being disrupted by the change that's coming. And I think, my hope is that everybody who is responding negatively and feels negative emotions about it and is keyboard warrioring themselves out is able to kind of like be a bit more thoughtful about like the macro picture. But at the end of the day, the world, like people in the world are only worried about their situation first. And I understand that. And so what I wonder is, like, what do you have anything for those people to hear? Because to me, I would impart on them, like, they're unfortunately in a period of time of resetting, right? And so like, as if it were cord cutting, disrupted regular TV. And then everybody said, this is going to be great because we slashed all the cost. And then suddenly now we all have to subscribe to 1,000 different things. And when you look at the total cost, is about the same. If you use the same analogy around like compensation for athletes, like, or scholarships or opportunities, therefore, for people to swim, and net, there may not end up being like totally fewer opportunities. It's just they're going to come in different places. As you said, maybe it's at the end of the day, maybe not for these current athletes, but eventually for athletes, it could be that you're in a better system with, more roster spots and then better coaching and more resources and then also more money. So I just think there's like this transitionary period. And I'm curious if there's like any thought in your mind that you always hold back because you don't have like the right thing to say to that one person who's like, why he do this? But is there any kind of message that you're like, man, I wish they could just see like, you know, I'm sorry that you're part of it, but maybe you could see that this is for the better, you know, result at the end of the day?
Yeah, no, that's a profound question, Brian. Way to bring that one to the table. The hot mics are hot right now. I would say, well, there's something that came directly to my mind. It's a message that I have like throughout my journals and stuff. It's from some of the listeners might know him, Pat Lunsford, a renowned official amongst swimming. But he was very close to my family when I was growing up. So I saw him since I was in a baby crib next to the pool. But it was on a good day, be great. On an average day, be good. And on a bad day, be better. And I think that always rang true to me. And I think in this situation too, swimming is actually a like perfect microcosm because at the end of the day, like there is a first place. It's not a football team winning. It's not a basketball team winning. It's, yes, we have the team title, but you look at every race and there is one person who wins and there's a second place and a third place. So, and then there's also team qualifying. Like for anyone that goes through that, those are failures or losses or not actualizing as much as they hoped or dreamed or had aspirations for. I know the last couple of summers have been filled with that for myself and learning how to deal with that. And so while it's a different level or a different picture, you could say, I think the empathy is able to be transferred in some regards. And I think it just really falls on the whole community of swimming to be more effortful, more creative, and more intentional of how we make this ship sail a lot better, how we make it more entertaining, more engaging, more pulling in other athletes. Like I want to hear swimming like pulling away like football players from like their teams and like having them switch over to swimming, and like basketball players, volleyball players. Like I want to have swimming be like the main attraction and most engaging sport. And while that's a very hard feat, it doesn't have to be 10 billion people at first. It just needs to be 10. Like we just need to get the ball rolling. So I think in any instance, it's easier to take your life by the wheel with both of your hands than just to sit back and have someone else drive it for you. And that's what I would say, I think in your question, Brian, to arch my point, is really just pivot from where you're from. Change is the only constant in our lives. So it's going to happen. So you need to either evolve or die, kind of like it. No one's going to save you except for yourself every single day. You're going to be there with yourself every day. So really just take the wheel with both hands and steer it as best you can. Cause I know that's what I've tried to do. And I know dozens, hundreds and thousands of other athletes and other sports and not even athletes and other careers that have done the same. So no one's been successful that I know of that just lays on the ground and it becomes a victim. So be an advocate for yourself and just try to uplift yourself and be your biggest cheerleader. And it doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror. It comes from an undeniable set of evidence and receipts that you have daily of actions, not just words. So I think just taking it by two hands and trying to make the most of whatever position you're at. I think that's really, really something I've learned over the last 5 years. There's another Theodore Roosevelt quote that I should rip, but I can't remember it right now. So I'm not. I was on the practice this morning. That was really good.
Good old Haley. I was going to ask. So the U.S. House of Representatives is trying to pass the SCORE Act. There's a lot of stuff happening. I'm a sailor, and when you're sailing upwind, it's tough. If the wind's against you, you're beating, you're moving. But if you tack and you go through the wind, the mast comes across. Some people can get hit and fall overboard. It's rocky and stuff. But all of a sudden, you're downwind and it's beautiful and it's flowing. It's a beautiful sail. So you're going through some real shit of course correcting to be in a better position with the wind at your back. Do you think the wind's going to be all back soon. And once all this course corrections happen and people are going to settle in, what do you think some of the good positives that we might see in 5 years, 10 years, that we'll forget about this and we will see some athlete benefiting some sport that we didn't realize who could now support their family in some way, but because they couldn't go pro, but they can support their family. Where are we going to be in a good place? What are some of the benefits that we're not talking about, grants? We're talking about everything else, rightly, but we're not talking about somewhere it could be.
Yeah, great perspective on that. Great direction. I think in the analogy, which was very well said, Luke, is I think we are in the tailwind now. I think we're not all the way into it. I think we're still facing some headwind, but I think one of the biggest things that I personally felt, saw, and heard was with the settlement getting approved or denied, there's basically a fork in the road and we could go one or two paths. And for the longest time, for whatever reason, in the final stages, especially the fork just kept getting pushed further and further down the road. There was no path that anyone was finding. And with the settlement getting approved, I think it kind of knocked everyone in the head that said, hey, this is the path we are going down now, whether you like it or not, whether you're getting cut or not, whether you're an AD or a parent, whatever it is, we are all going down this. And so now I think it's shifted the direction from, I don't like this isn't right, here's the reasons why, this is what's wrong, to, all right, we're all in the same lane now, and for better or for worse, this is the direction we're going. So I think that's one thing that's shifted from 100% headwind to now some tailwind. And then I think something that my older brother and I talk about a lot is, and something I actually talked about when we did a collective bargaining agreement assignment in my graduate course, and I got to look at the Major League Soccer, MLS's CBA, because it was the newest one. That's the one I wanted to look at. And it's really this interesting idea, I think, of when you look at the 4-year cycle in America, in the United States especially, and for people that come over, but predominantly in the US, the biggest sites for training for the Olympics are at these universities. And there's nothing that really is sustaining the athletes outside of that, unless you make the national team, you have a world ranking, or, I mean, I guess World Cups too, but really you have your 4-year timeline. And if it falls in the Olympic quadrennial plan, that's awesome. If it doesn't, basically you have 1 or 3 years where you have to financially support yourself. And I think, one athlete, she was at Louisville, she had a surgery that kind of ended her career a little bit, but Paige McCormick, I mean, she was making $20,000 her last year in college, just on NIL and just on social media, like marketing and branding herself well and positioning herself. I mean, as someone who's going through it now, and I have to pay $2,000 just on rent per month, and I have a job as a strength and performance coach, I do private swim lessons on the side, like just to keep it afloat. It's crazy when I think about it and I look at any other sport, not just myself. I just know that the best. If I was equivalently this world ranking or this good in the US at any other sport, in basketball, baseball, I'd be getting super max deals for 4 or 5, 6 years. Like that's just the reality of it. But for swimming, I think the positive spin of it, you can have this money, you can have these benefits, these sponsorships, these endorsements, pay for a flight, pay for travel, pay for food, grocery, whatever it is. So you can extend your career a lot farther than just like 4 years. This is a great question to ask the Slam and Salmon tomorrow. Ask him, you can tell him Grant said to ask, but ask him about corporate Pat, what the decision was for corporate Pat.
Well, we already talked to him. We already recorded it. We just released it
tomorrow.
Okay. So Pat told me at one point, which was crazy to me. He was like, yeah, it's either I make the world championship team or I'm going to corporate. And it was just like, to me, to see that kid like not pursue it further past college, national champion, national record holder, like one of the greatest talents I've ever seen and I believe in. And I probably have a bias because I've been on the team for so long, but like outside of that, like the kid's just good at this sport. And I was like, dang, that's such a bummer, but I understand it. I get it. Like I totally get it. And I just think that's unfortunate. I think this opportunity now can extend those Olympic athlete careers a lot more, or extended that 1 more year for gymnastics, for track and field, for swimming. that one more year where you might be outside the quadrennial plan and get you to the Olympic Games or Olympic trials where you could make the Olympic Games.
If you were to zoom ahead 10 years, 20 years, what do you think the sport looks like when you think about like the opportunities that are coming in professionalism and scholarships, et cetera, and longevity? What is like, you know, what do you think is going to happen? And then also what's the dream state in that period of time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've fully actualized the visions on either of these. I'll do the best to hit both of those though. I think, you know, 5-10 years down the line is, you know, having more sponsored events, having more endorsed events for athletes in our sport to make more money than just 3 tier stops along the way, especially with tier phasing out of the sport of swimming, it seems like, by not sponsoring more swimmers. But I think, you know, Michael Johnson just did it for track with the Grand Slams. Like he's putting more competitions in addition to the Diamond League, which is awesome. I think that's great. I think in regards to the direction of the sport, not putting the 1,000 or the mile after the most exciting start to a dual meet of a 200 medley relay, that would help everyone actually care about the meets a lot more. I think the rearranging of the organization of the meets is the simplest thing that could be done before the season even starts, that no one wants to, just because tradition, I guess, or just people being lazy, frankly. And I think, you know, being more creative and reimaginative with it. Like, I think when all the 50s got added to the Olympic schedule, like hearing some of the remarks belittling the 50s, I think it was just childish and egotistic. It's just like, should we all just swim the mile? Should we all just swim the 4 a.m.? Like, no one's going to watch that. So like make it in, like, put your ego aside, be happy that the medal count is higher, be happy that records might be broken. And I think have people get excited about something. Like the most watched event is the 100-meter dash in track and field. That's because people are so excited about it. And I think swimming can have 4 of those. We have the unique spot of having 4 events that are just 50 meters now. So getting a lot of engagement and attraction around that and just making it more exciting than it is. So I'd say those would be like 2 of the things that come to mind for me, the more sponsored endorsed events, and then more athletes, you know, really diving into the storytelling, like having, you know, it's just an easy example. I hope he doesn't mind this, but Patrick Sammon, like going to a brand and being like, you can be the brand responsible for facilitating the path to my Olympic berth. Yeah. Like there are very few people who get to say that, and there's very few brands who get to do that. But I know if I ran a brand, I would love to do that. I love Patrick beat me in an event. I love that he made the team because I know I helped his process with that. And I know he helped mine too. Like that gets me excited. Like I'm fired up just thinking about that now. So I think more the endorsements, the branding, the sponsored events, and identity with it over time will extend Olympic careers and lifetimes.
Grant, you messed up one thing though. So COVID, it was great to see 5-year eligibility, the COVID 5th year. In Canada, I swam in Canada. We get 5-year eligibility. Why didn't you just tuck that into your lawsuit and say you want 5 years eligibility? You of all people, come on.
I know. I tried to milk it out as much as I could. I think Herbie even said I could have had one more, but ASU compliance wasn't having it. I'm not even joking. I promise you. But yeah, I think I should have been able to sneak out one more. So I don't know. Yeah.
All right, man. You had a hell of a nationals. I know you wanted to be on the world's team, but it's hard to argue with PBs, and you know, you can control what you can control, right? Yeah. What's next for you? You're working. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm a strength and performance coach, training some professional athletes, Boston Red Sox. I just signed with a golf agency to train some golfers from amateur to pro out in Scottsdale next summer. I'll be going back to full-time coaching in August with Streamline Performance in Paradise Valley. I'm going to Irvine in August, so I'll be out towards California area for the Tier Open Championship, I think it's called, to end the summer. No one ever knows what that is at this point. But yeah, finishing up there, just continuing to kind of bloom into this new career of performance and strength coaching. I really have a passion with that, and continue advocacy through my podcast, speaking events, for everything going on with college athletics too. I really want to help push that forward as much as I can and continue being a mentor, a guiding light, a speaker, an entity involved, and being a leader in the space for that. So, but for right now, the immediate future is getting back to my athletes as their coach, hopefully expanding more into the MLB and the PGA, and then staying in the pool with sprint salo, getting a lot more sprint salo time these days. So it's been fun. It's been different, and change is good. Everyone needs to hear that.
Hell yeah.
I need to finish a 5-day free long course. I haven't swum a long course meet since 1998. I need to finish a 5-day free long course. What's the one dryland exercise or even set that you like, you know what, this makes sure that I'm ready for the last 15, that I don't fall apart? What should I do?
Ooh, I would say one lower and one upper, because I'm a good coach. Wall sits and a wall sit into squat jumps.
Okay.
You'll feel that. And then 2 is continuous med ball slams. Like basically like 20 or 15 or under time, like not a minute, but just continuous high output efforts. I would say anyone can do one med ball slam, but doing 10 in a row as fast and as hard as you can is pretty humbling, I would say.
Brian, tomorrow morning we're doing that. Let's do it.
Luke's on his fat to fit journey, and I'm on the train with him. So good.
There we go. 30-second wall sit and 10 squat jumps. You'll be screaming.
All right, you guys I want to see this recorded, Luke.
We'll record it. Grant, where can everybody find you?
I'll be getting back on social, so you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on at mitochondria_house. That's for Instagram and TikTok. And then on X, House the Mouse. You can find me there. And my podcast, which is soon to be rebranded to the House of Impact. But right now it's the Swim Bros podcast. So Swim Bros will always have a near and dear close stitch to my heart with my brother and I. But I will be rebranding for a bigger future and bigger influence into the world soon.
Oh yeah, man. Love to see it. Thanks so much for the conversation. Good to check in with you again. Congrats on all the swimming and the success.
Thank you.
We'll chat with you again.
Appreciate being on with you guys. Always a blast. And thanks for such great questions. I hope everyone listening gets a little bit clearer lens through this and doesn't hesitate to ask questions themselves, hopefully.
Well said. With that, that's it for this episode of Social Kick. We'll see you next time.
Hey guys.
See you guys.
Hey everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed this episode of Social Kick and you'd like to see more, subscribe to the channel. And we love talking swimming. We'd love to talk about swimming with you. So leave us a comment and we'll see you next time.